Welkom terug. Ek sit nou my gesprek met Carien du Plessis en Mary de Haas oor KwaZulu-Natal voor. Mary, back to you. So, explain to us why a councillor or prospective councillor who's interested in ANC politics would resort to violence on a local level in order to get what?
Well, becoming a councillor goes hand in hand with tenders. Influencing who gets what in the way of tenders. Corruption is endemic at local government, with people channeling funds into tenders. I'll give you an example that you've got a friend or your family member has a security company, so you inflate the prices and get a tender. So people are making a lot of money out of it. But I just want to say, and that's why often people who go into politics wouldn't be employable elsewhere, of course, because they're not necessarily very well qualified. It depends on how well they're doing within the party. But there is a bit of a, you've got to be a bit careful, because when politicians get killed, there can be other motives. One of them that got killed recently, it seems that it was a hit by his wife. And there can be a business connection. Some of the councillors run businesses, they run taxis. And the problem is that most of these killings now are done by professional hitmen. So there are, I think, of the people who've died since the beginning of 2016, there have been 2 or 3 arrests, perhaps there's no convictions yet. 70-odd people in Cleveland in 3 years, not a single conviction.
So Carien, die ANC is landwyd onder druk, reg? Daar's minder ANC raadslede, die ANC se steun daal. Beteken dit dat die kompetisie vir die poste wat daar wel is en die tenders wat daar wel is in die al hoe minder munisipaliteite wat die ANC absoluut beheer, dat daai kompetisie aan die toeneem is en dat ons daarom moet verwag dat daar al hoe meer geweld sal wees?
Wel, ek hoop nie dat ons meer geweld sal moet verwag nie, maar ek dink jy is reg dat daar meer kompetisie is. En die ANC het ook onlangs met kwota, ek dink 'n paar jaar terug met kwota stelsels begin. 50-50. So met 50-50 vroue mans wees. Ja, so dit, en dan sal die faksies ook in die munisipaliteite, dan kom verskillende mense se faksies in, en dan met die volgende verkiesing is daar dan is daar dalk 'n ander faksie wat dominant is. So ek meen die kompetisie is sterk en mense, en baie keer is daar nie werk in die munisipaliteite nie, veral die klein munisipaliteite, het mense niks anders om te doen nie. Jy weet, dis hoe jy geld maak. En vir my as joernalis is dit ook nogal erg om te sien, ek onthou 'n paar jaar of 'n hele paar jaar terug toe ons meer joernaliste gehad het, jy kon meer oor munisipale sake verslag gedoen het, jy kon korrupsie opgetel het, probleme opgetel het vroeër. Nou al wanneer ons na munisipaliteite toe gaan, as dit brand. So ek dink ja, daai faktore dra alles daartoe by dat dit dalk erger kan word.
Mary, vir jare al het ons ook gelees oor politici, veral groot nasionale politici wat deur die platteland ry met karre met kattebakke vol geldnote. Is that real?
I don't know if that's just an urban myth or not. I mean, look, what I do know there's lots of in this province, in KZN, are guns. There's a stash of weapons. Look, there are, I mean, look, you read strange stories about stashes of money. And I don't, you know, I know that some politicians have had huge amounts of money stolen from them. And that's never been explained. But as I said, I'm not sure about the accuracy of that. I do know, though, that the place is awash with weapons.
Okay, because what I'm getting at is, in the run-up to December, you know, the 2 main candidates and their people would want to convince ANC branches to vote one way or the other, right? And the province is not united, okay? So how would you go about, if you're unwilling to kill, in the happy event that you're unwilling to kill, you know, in order to convince?
Well,
how do you convince?
Look, I mean, you know, it's very difficult to see a pattern in the killings. It's not, in some areas, look, Richmond has always been a problem, and it's still a problem. But when you unpack it, it's a mixture of some of it's personal competition, like you know, you've spoken about. You know that they're both ANC, but one wants the position. And some of it is the factional thing, we want to get our candidate in. Some of it is linked to corruption, some of the killings. that someone knows too much about corruption, someone's involved in corruption. So there's a whole multiplicity of factors that are linked to local government.
Maar dis nie net in die ANC Carien wat omstredenheid is nie. In Vryheid in KwaZulu-Natal is 'n raadsvergadering op 11 Mei ontwrig met traangas en mense wat al brakende uithardloop het by die raadsaal. Nadat 'n 27-jarige voormalige skoonmaker van die hoërskool daar genomineer is as burgemeester deur die nasionale IFP en toe rebelleer die plaaslike IFP. Politiek is maar vuil in hierdie provinsie of is dit oral maar?
Ja, ek dink dit is oral. Ek dink ek meen Noordwes byvoorbeeld is gerig vir weet mense wat daar doodgemaak is al die afgelope hele paar jaar.
Kolini se burgemeester word op die oomblik gijslaar gehou.
Ja, dit is redelijk gewelddadig. En I mean, selfs Kolini byvoorbeeld weet weer uit 'n verslaggewer se oogpunt, daar was probleme wat ons nie opgetel het nie totdat dit gebrand het. Nou skielik weet nou kom almal agter daar's probleme. Maar ja, maar ek dink die politiek, ek meen selfs die DA se politiek het ons al vuilspel gesien. So en ek meen nou afgelope naweek in Limpopo, dit was my baie snaaks geweest, dat die ANC jeugliga Dlamini Zuma sou daar gaan praat het en die ANC jeugliga toe gesê 'n verklaring uitgereik wat gesê het maar sy is nie welkom hier nie. As Cyril nie welkom is in KwaZulu-Natal nie, dan is sy nie welkom hier in Limpopo nie. En weet vir my dink ek dis altyd sleg as 'n mens daai no-go areas maak en dit sal nie 'n goeie ding wees as hierdie tipe van ding uitkring nie. Maar ja, maar dit is ek dink die storie daar is ook groter, weet dit spreek ook tot die ANC se manier van veldtog te voer en so aan.
Because Mary, in some parts of the country the ANC's majority is huge, but as the party approaches 50% in more municipalities or more regions, provinces and so forth, do you expect there to be on a more frequent basis a violent response, or because the stakes are becoming so high? Just very briefly.
I think KZN, the stakes are very high because it is the power base. And as I said, the eThekwini Metro is the biggest ANC region. So I think that's what the struggle in KZN is about, to keep that ANC base and to keep it the Zuma base, if at all possible, because that's his stronghold.
Mary, thank you very much. Carien.